Assalamu alaikum. Let's start with experiment number 8, task 1. In this task, you have to eliminate all the syntax and logical errors present in this code so that you get the output as shown over here. So this code or this program takes an integer from the user. So say for example, if the user enters 10, the program will print 10 elements of this array, and all of these elements will either be 0 or 1, and it is not necessary for this pattern to be the same every time you compile and run the program. It means that this program will initialize this array randomly every time you compile and run this program. Okay, so uh, two functions are being used. Initialize array function will randomly initialize all the elements of array A using this for loop. The second function, print array, will print all the elements of array A which were initialized earlier using this for loop. Now there are a couple of things which are new to you people. So for example, this line, which is normally called seed, to generate numbers randomly, and in similarly this header file is also new for you. So now I will explain both of them. So say for example, I have this code in which I am printing a random number using rand function. In order to use this function, you have to use this header file stdlib.h, and let's compile and run. Okay, now compile the program, run the program, and you can see that a random number uh, is being printed at the output screen. Now compile it again, run the program again, and you can see that the same number has been printed at the output. It is a random number, but each time you compile and run the program, the same number will be printed at the output screen. So in my machine, this may be the number, or this may be the random number that will be printed at the output screen. In someone else's computer or in someone else's laptop, maybe some other random integer will be printed, but running the program multiple times will produce identical results. It will display the same number every time you run and compile the program. So how to really generate a random number? For that purpose, you have to use seed function, which is called srand, srand, and you have to provide a seed number. So say for example, if I provide 1, save, compile, run, you get this number. Now if I change 1 to say 2, save, compile, and run, now you can see that a different number has been generated. Similarly, if you want to generate yet another number, you can change the seed, say 3, save the number, compile it, run it, and you can see that a different number has been generated. Okay, to make life easier, you can use the time of your CPU, time null, and in order to use this function, you have to use the time.h header file. So save it and compile it, run it. You get a random number at the output. Similarly, no need to compile it again, run it, and you can see another random number is being generated and printed. Similarly, you can see that each time I run the program, different number is being printed at the output screen. So okay, so this function is basically the time of the CPU up to seconds, and since this time is changing continuously, hence the seed number of this function will change continuously, and therefore a different number will be printed at the output screen each time the program is run. Okay, if you want to restrict the random number to be printed at the output, then you can use the remainder operator. So if I write rand percentage 2, so what will happen is that random numbers will be generated from 0 to 1, not 2 to 2. Random numbers will be generated from 0 to 1 and will be printed at the output screen. So save the file, compile it, run it. So you can see 1 0 1 0 1 0. So the maximum value of the random number that can be printed at the output is 2 minus 1, which is 1, starting from 0. So from 0 to 1, random numbers will be printed at the output screen randomly. Similarly, if say you want to print random numbers in the range 0 to 5, then what should I do? I should write 6 over here. So rand percentage 6 will generate random values in the range 0 to 5. Save, compile, run. So 5 1 4 5 5 0 1 0. So go through this code and eliminate all the syntax and logical errors that are present, and you can see that in this line you are allocating memory for array for array A. You are allocating memory for array A dynamically at runtime. The size of the array is being determined by the number entered by the user, and after playing with the array or after using that array, you have to deallocate that array at the end. Okay, in task number 2 you have to convert pseudocode given below into C code, and what it will do is it will generate a pattern of ones and zeros as explained in Caltech Lab 5. So for example, this is the output and this is the original array, and this program will convert all these zeros and ones to zeros and ones according to some specific condition. Now what is that specific condition? One condition is that if the array element is 1, then that 1 will be replaced straight away by 0. So you can see that this one is replaced straight away by this 0. Similarly, this one is replaced by 0, and this one is replaced by 0. So all the ones are to be replaced by zeros. Okay, in case if the element is 0, then the code will look at the adjacent elements of that element 0. So according to the algorithm, if the left element of 0 is 1 and the right element is 0, or if the right element of 0 is 1 and left element of 0 is 0, then you have to print 1 at the output. But if both the elements are 1, like in this case the element is 0, but both the elements at the right and left side are 1. In that case, instead of printing 1, 0 should be printed at the output. So this is these are the conditions for generating this pattern from the original array given. So in this task, you have to define and initialize array A, and initialize array A to these elements. Similarly, you have to define and initialize array C to these elements. Print this message at the output screen, and then you have to call a function print array, which has two arguments. One argument is the array A, and the second argument is the number of elements of array A, which is 10 in this case. In the fifth step, you have to call another function, generate pattern. The name of the function is generate pattern, and it will take three arguments. The first argument is again array A. The second argument is array C, and third argument is the number of elements of array A, which is 10 in this case. Okay, the algorithm for print array function is simple. You have to repeat this task from index 0 till the last index of array A. So the last index of array A will be 9, because there are 10 elements in array A, and you have to repeat this task 10 times. You have to print each element of array A. Okay, the algorithm for this code is given below over here. So what you have to do is you have to go through this code carefully and try to understand the meaning and of this particular section and try to implement it carefully. And for your easiness, I have colored these brackets so that you know where to place them while implementing the if statement. So go through this code carefully and try to implement this algorithm of the function generate pattern. And at the last two steps, you have to print again. You have in this function you have to call this function. So generate pattern will call this function print array, and print array will take two arguments, array C and the number of elements of array C. Clear? So array C will be initialized in this section, and after printing the array, you have to force the cursor to go to the next line so that your output is good to watch. Okay, in task number 3, you should complete this code so that you get this output. And you can see that if the user enters, say for example integer 2, then 2 elements of array A should be displayed at the output. Similarly, if the user enters 5, 5 elements should be displayed, and if the user enters 10, 10 elements should be displayed at the output. And note that all the elements of the array are zeros. Okay, so this for loop is responsible for copying the integer entered by the user to this array B. So complete the code to fulfill this task, and the integer is then the integer ultimately entered by the user is stored in this variable NOC. NOC means number of cells. So you should determine this index B over here. Similarly, you should know the index B at this line, and the variable NOC is then passed to this function allocate memory, which is responsible to allocate a chunk of memory for this array A. So the function is being created over here, allocate memory has been created over here, and you can see that at this line chunk of memory, or the address of the chunk of memory, is being assigned to variable J. So you should know that J is to be defined as a simple non-pointer variable or a pointer variable, as I have asked from you people at this step number 7. And after that you have to complete this part of the code, and basically this part of the code returns the message out of memory if the function calloc returns null. So calloc function returns null if memory is not available for array A. So go through lecture number 5 in order to fill this part of the code. Okay. Now in step number 4 you should know whether A is to be defined as a pointer or a non-pointer variable. Again, if you have gone through lecture number 5, you can answer this question easily. And at step number 5 you are being asked to determine the data type of A. So in order to determine the data type of A, you should read line number 2 very carefully. At line number 10 you are being asked to determine whether allocate memory is a pointer or a non-pointer function name. So if you know what is J, then you can determine whether this function is a pointer function or a non-pointer function name. Okay, at step number 11, now after determining whether this is a pointer or a non-pointer function, you should determine its data type. So if you have answered this question correctly, then you can easily determine the data type. You can easily determine the data type of this function. So, and one last thing is you should also know the index of this array A at line number 33. So okay, in task number 4 two arrays are given. Array A having 10 elements, all are initialized to 0, and array C also having 10 elements, all initialized to 1. So you have to call a function copy C to A, whose job is to copy all the elements of array C into array A. So after this function call, you have to call this function print array, and this print array function should take two arguments, array A and number of elements of array A, which is 10. So since all the elements of C have been transferred to array A, therefore the output will display 1 10 times. And by the way, this function also takes three arguments, the array A, array C, and the number of elements of array A or array C, which is 10. So complete this code. You have to write this function, you have to create this function, copy C to A, and you have to also create this function print array in order to get this output correctly. Okay, in task number 5, you have noticed that in task 2, you have generated a pattern from a given pattern stored in array A. Now in task number 5, what you have to do is you have to generate a second pattern. You have to generate a second pattern from the first pattern that you have generated earlier. So by looking at this pattern, you have to generate this pattern, and the rules are same as I've explained in task number 2. And the rule is that if 1 is encountered, convert that 1 to 0, and if 0 is encountered, then again there are two conditions. The first condition is that if both left and right element of 0 is 1 are 1, then 0 should not be converted to 1. Clear? But if the left side of the 0 is 1 and the right side element of 0 is 0, or the right side element of is 1 and the left side element of this 0 is 0, then convert that 0 to 1. So you have to perform one additional task in as compared to task number 2, and that is to generate the same pattern according to the rules I have explained in task number 2. And be careful to do this to follow this rule, otherwise you will not get the correct output at your screen. Thank you.